Do you often mutter those words to yourself? I'm so stupid. I can't do anything right. I always screw up. Nobody likes me. This is called negative self-talk. Self-talk is the dialogue we have with ourselves. It helps us process our feelings and work through our life's problems and decisions. We can be our own critic or our own cheerleader. But have you heard of being your own worst critic? Harmful negative self-talk is when the conversation in our head is constantly negative. Negative self-talk does have common patterns. First is personalizing. Personalizing is when you blame yourself for everything, when something bad happens. For example, a friend does not respond to your text automatically, you think he is mad at you. Second is catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is always anticipating the worst-case scenario. For example, you make a small mistake at work and immediately think you will get fired. Third is filtering. Filtering is focusing on the negatives and ignoring the positives. For example, you achieve several of the tasks you planned that day, and you can only focus on the one thing you left out. Fourth is polarizing. With polarizing, you can only see everything as all bad or all good. You think of yourself as a failure if everything does not go perfectly. There is no middle ground. Negative self-talk can negatively impact our mental health. Our self-esteem, confidence, sense of empowerment, motivation, perception of the world, and the list goes on and on. We start believing whatever we are telling ourselves, even if it's not true. It can cause anxiety and depression and harm our relationship with others. So can you stop negative self-talk? First step is to realize that we can't stop our thoughts. Our minds just keep on going to process what is happening around us. What you can do is change how you talk to yourself. There are several ways to achieve that. Number 1, think as if you are talking to a friend. Ask yourself, if a friend shared this with me, how would I respond to them? You deserve to respond to yourself the same way you would respond to a friend. Chances are you would be more kind, and you will remind them that things are not as bad as they perceive it. Number 2, be aware of your thought and learn to notice their pattern. When your thoughts are negative, try to stop and replace them. If you don't do something right, remind yourself that you're only human. You're allowed to make mistakes. And sometimes, a mistake can be a hard-earned lesson or a motivation. Number 3, have a reality check. The negative things you think about yourself may seem like accurate information, but actually your thoughts can be distorted and subject to misconceptions. You can ask yourself, is there any evidence to support my thoughts? Is this thought accurate or just my interpretation of a situation? When you think that something occurred that is different from normal, take a step back. Look at the situation from the outside. If you are thinking nobody likes me, think of more realistic reasons why you haven't heard back from your friends. Number 4, change your negative thoughts to neutral ones. It can be challenging at first to stop your train of thought or to change your thoughts to positive ones. Instead, try neutralizing your thoughts. You can change their intensity. For example, instead of telling yourself, I am a complete failure, change it to I made a mistake. When you use a gentler language, the negative power of your thinking is muted as well. Number 5, use humor. If you are always finding the negative in any situation, you can think of these thoughts as a third person. You can give it a funny name. This will make it easier to disagree with these thoughts and see how unreasonable they are. Number 6, replace negative thoughts with positive ones. This is one of the best ways to combat negative self-talk. Change the negative thought to a realistic or positive thought. This will change the narrative in your head with a new positive one. Incorporate positive thoughts in your day whether you're having a tough time or not. You can start the day with some positive self-affirmations. Like, I am good enough. I will be able to cope. I accept myself for who I am. I am going to forgive myself. Number 7. Practice, practice, practice. Battling negative self-talk takes time and practice. Habits cannot change overnight and it can be hard to change, so it's important to persist. In fact, repetition is how you develop this pattern in the first place, so you can use the same strategy to change it. Number 8. Don't use negative self-talk as a motivator. You can be all for self-discipline, but don't be mean to yourself in the process. You can tell yourself, get over it, or get back on your feet every now and then, but don't let it hold you back. A constant stream of negative can become very toxic. So be sure to reword these thoughts with self-assurance. If you like this video, click the subscribe button for more mental health tips.